Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
And welcome back to the Skating Penguin Network, everyone. We are here with another Mailbag episode on this Monday, the second Monday of September. It's September 9th, 2024. We are working our way into this first month of fall, which it certainly feels like outside in my neck of the woods. I'm sure it's close to the same up in Snail's neck of the woods in the Seattle area. And it's definitely every day that passes, it feels more like hockey season. If you're really missing hockey, there is some prospect hockey coming your way this weekend. The Penguins have a couple games with prospect teams from the NHL, so we'll get a good look at Rucker McGroarty, Owen Pickering, Joel Blomqvist, some of them big names that are looking to be a part of the Penguins' future. And before I toss it over to Snell here, speaking of the Penguins' future, Sidney Crosby spoke to the media for the first time today in Pittsburgh since the end of the season back in April. And after, I'm not going to fool you guys because you'll probably have read the news by now, but I scared Snail out of his skin when he first came on. And Sidney Crosby said he's optimistic about signing an extension with the Penguins. He said it's been an easy process, and he hopes to get it done here in the near future. So that is good news. And I know, Snail, you listened to 32 Thoughts with Elliot Friedman over the weekend, and Elliot Friedman pretty much said he's heard no rumblings of Crosby even considering anywhere else. And there is a possible deadline just in Friedman's thoughts that's coming up here in the near future to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it sounds like Media Day, NHL Media Day, where they all hang out and shoot promo stuff. Knowing Sid and his low-key demeanor, Elliot kind of suspected that he wouldn't want to deal with all of that noise while he's there for Media Day. So we thought it was 8/7. Maybe it's Media Day, and if it's not that, then I don't know. Buckle up, because the rumors are going to swirl until there is a signature on a dotted line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Robbie, we got a bunch of questions from Brian this week, and let's kick it off here with the first question. And he asks here, what is your favorite type of vacation? And he has in parentheses here, holiday, so our Euro friends can understand. I've always been a beach vacay guy.
Yeah, so as someone who is heading to the beach next week, I am a beach guy as well. I'm not one of those people that likes going places that are super crowded, though I do enjoy the scenic vacation. Back in college, we went to Lake Placid in New York, a great time. It was winter, so it's more of a winter destination. That was a great time. I know I said I don't like big crowds, but I do enjoy the occasional city trip as well, especially a historic city. A few years ago, we were in Austin, and then we went to New Orleans. New Orleans is a fantastic city if you're into history or if you love food. Great time down there. But if I had to pick one, I love the beach. I love just relaxing on the beach. Very few responsibilities. You're just kind of chilling out, enjoying the nice weather, the sand, the water. It's just, to me, much more chill than doing a lot of pick up and go, which can happen a lot. Now, I do have some bucket list places I want to go that aren't beaches, but for the most part, I'm with Brian on this. I'm a beach guy. I can't wait to go next week. I've been waiting for a couple months now. So definitely psyched for that. But yeah, if I had to pick one vacation, give me a beach, give me a lawn chair, an umbrella, and I am perfectly content for a week just chilling at the shore. All righty. Again, all questions are from Brian this week. And so we won't have to name each and every one. But here he asked, I'm sure you both saw the Chell Penguins tweet about the Penguins having the greatest Mount Rushmore in NHL history. Do you agree with this?
I didn't see. I wasn't familiar with Chell Penguin. I was asking Robbie before we hopped on. Is it an Instagram? Is it a Twitter? So I kind of looked it up quick. I found the account on Twitter, but I could not find the post. But I don't need the post to really have a discussion about the Mount Rushmore. Penguins Mount Rushmore, if it isn't the best in the NHL history, it's tough because we have recency bias. I mean, if you look at the Montreal Canadiens or like the Habs, whatever you call them, pretty epic Mount Rushmore that goes back to some guys that we never saw play. You know what I mean? Like they've just had a plethora of great players throughout their history. But I think there's a strong argument the Penguins have the best Mount Rushmore. The only one that I think that rivals it would probably be the Oilers, obviously, with Gretzky, Curry, Messier, Coffey, who could be on the Penguins Mount Rushmore as well. There's an argument there. Gretzky, Curry, Messier, Coffey, and then they Grant Fuhr, the goaltender, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, some pretty epic names there. Penguins Mount Rushmore, I mean, it's Mario, it's Sid, and then so the Mount Rushmore only has 4 heads, right?
Correct.
So you got 2 more. You have so many to choose from. Yager is a potential. I think you could even make an argument for Malkin, Letang, Fleury. You could have who's another one? Jean Pronovost. Pronovo. You could have. Is Michel Briere an argument as well?
He was only there a year. He would have been a superstar, but he passed away in a car accident.
Right.
So I don't think you can really put him on the Mount Rushmore just because he passed away so young.
Yeah, beloved, and in that one year made quite a big impact and was destined to be a superstar. Who's another one, Robbie? Rick Keough?
Keough, I could see an argument. A lot of those guys that weren't there when the Penguins were winning cups, but were a part of the growing popularity of hockey in Pittsburgh.
Ron Francis.
I
think he could be a strong candidate too. Yeah. So that's just if you're looking for depth on your Mount Rushmore, the Penguins have a plethora of it. So the best in NHL history, I can make a stand and say yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone would argue too hard about it unless it's maybe an Oiler, right?
That or a Flyer would probably just argue someone else just to spite the Penguins fan base. But yeah, I don't think that's too controversial.
Who else has some strong ones out there?
Montreal's going to have a strong one. Detroit's going to have a strong one. Boston
Detroit might be. Detroit.
Chicago will have a strong one.
Chicago. Who's on there? Is Kane, Taves, Bobby Hull, and Jeremy Roenick?
Probably Stan Mikita.
Oh, yeah, Stan Mikita.
Pat Kane, Bobby Hall, and I think you can make an argument for Duncan Keith, to be honest, over Jonathan Taves.
People hate Duncan Keith and they've already forgotten about him, but he was the best defenseman in the world for a long time.
Yeah, I really think that argument's there. And I think you can make an argument that Marian Hossa could be on there, too.
Marian Hossa could definitely be on there. They've got a lot of good potential depth at their Mount Rushmore. God. Yeah, that's a good... Yeah, those original 6 clubs, Detroit... When you said Detroit, immediately, just there, when you've got Yzerman, Lidstrom, those are 2 heads already gone. And then the plethora, like Zetterberg, there's an argument for him.
Yeah.
So Penguins... As a little biased, I think, Robbie, we could agree, yeah, there's an argument for them being the best in NHL history. I'll put my foot down and say yeah. Let's see. We'll move on here to question number 3. Let's talk movies, Robbie. How do you feel about all these remakes and sequels to iconic movies?
I'm getting kind of tired of them, to be honest. There's got to be some kind... We have all this brain talent in the world. You can't tell me that they can't come up with some original ideas. It's too many And I'm not even talking about like Star Wars shoot-offs. That's a completely different. Like, yeah, you can have original content in the Star Wars universe, but they're making another Goonies. How on earth
Are they really?
I heard today that it's in production now with the original cast. I don't know how they're gonna pull that off, but
Is there even like really a market for that?
I I don't think so. I mean, how many people in Gen Z or Gen Alpha or whatever do even know what the Goonies are? Like
No one.
Yeah, like nobody. That's just a nostalgia poll for Gen X and millennials is all that is. It just I don't need like a live action every Disney movie ever made. I just don't need that.
No.
The animation's so good to begin with. It just I'm just kind of over it. And even you get it with TV shows too. They're remaking TV shows or adding new seasons of TV shows. It's just, man, they were so good when they were, especially shows from like the 90s where like, okay, the humor isn't great for 2024, but just leave it as it is. And like, you can go back and watch it. And they're not like, and credit to like the Friends cast that said, okay, we'll do a reunion, but we don't need more seasons. It just doesn't make sense. You couldn't produce it at that quality in 2024. That'd be like remaking MASH for like.
You couldn't even remake MASH right now.
No, it'd be pointless. It would be the most boring show, in the world. I'm not a fan of the remakes. I like watching the originals. I mean, I've watched MASH all the way through. I've watched Friends all the way through. I've watched so many shows all the way through. I don't need remakes and sequels of all these. I know what happens. Like, you're not going to improve on the original because the writing today is not as good as the writing back then.
Well, all it turns into is like, if you're a fan of something, like let's say you were a really big fan, like just for example, like you said, you watched MASH all the way through. Say they did make a remake and they wanted it to be a really good nostalgic pull. All you're going to do is be comparing. You're not even going to be watching to enjoy it. You're going to be like, oh, they forgot to do this. Oh, wow, they didn't include this line that I loved. Oh, this guy doesn't really seem like the original actor. It's like, it just all turns into a comparison and arguing on the internet.
And you're so tied to the original actors as well. Like, nobody's going to be, no matter how good they are, is going to be able to come in and recapture the magic of the original cast. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, I'm kind of, again, I don't mind spin-offs necessarily. And sequels, I'm not even it's more the reboots is more, it's not, because you can have movies with really good sequels that can tell a completely different story in the same timeline. It's more the redoing an original movie, like the live action.
I agree with that.
And stuff like that. Like, I don't need a live action every Disney movie ever made. I just need, if you want to do a sequel of like the Toy Stories, I like their idea because they're just expanding the storyline. Again, you can oversaturate that market, but that's a completely different discussion to have. But I don't need a live action Toy Story of the original. I know what happened in the original. Nothing you make live action is going to make it any better than the original. So it's just a money pull, and that's frustrating. But we need some original ideas out there because it's the only sequel or remake I want is of a Penguin Stanley Cup movie.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Dude, so like the two movies I have on my itinerary to go see in the actual theaters is the new Beetlejuice, the second one. Yeah. It's been like over, like, how many years has it been? 98, 08, 18. It's been over 30 years since the original came out. I think that making a sequel, if you do it if you put a lot of money and effort into making it really good, I don't mind that. The other one is the Alien Romulus. So I'm a huge fan of the Alien movies. I have those on my list. I don't mind those. I'm also, like, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with Godzilla, and when they started kind of marvelizing Godzilla in recent years, where they have all these new ones coming out, I don't care. I like that. Like, I will go to the movie theaters and watch those because I was like, the kid in me remembers all the characters and the storylines, and I'm there for it. And they're expanding on it, I think, in a way that's appropriate. But yeah, the remakes, the reboots of things where they just need to make a 2024 version of a classic. Like, The Goonies is a classic.
So have you So there was Godzilla minus one, which was actually made by a Japanese film company, and I haven't seen it yet, but they said it's absolutely phenomenal.
It's the best Godzilla movie of all time.
The Godzilla movies are just, I mean, it's really hard to not be entertained by a Godzilla movie just because action, smashing, monsters, all that fun stuff. And Godzilla movies are always, Godzilla or King Kong are always going to make money. Like, that's just like printing money.
Yeah, monster movies.
Yes. But Beetlejuice is one that I probably will watch. I do want to see the new Twisters.
I never watched the first one.
Okay, the first one is, it's a kind of absurd because obviously, I mean, the concept is obviously absurd, but it has.
Is it just about tornadoes, or is it about like something more sinister than just a tornado?
There's like science involved behind it and stuff. I don't remember it exactly. It's been so long since I watched it, but I mean, Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, both very good actors, and now you have this one, Glenn Powell, and some younger actors. So it's just, I mean, it's probably just a fun action movie to watch. If you don't like tornadoes, you probably shouldn't watch it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's one that I'll see. Like the second Top Gun, I thought was way better than the first Top Gun.
Yeah, I heard that. I never watched the second one, but I heard that it was so like, it's just such a good movie.
It is. It's literally just it's not like you know how it's going to end, but it's not like a cheap storyline. Like, there's actual work put into it. It's excellent. The Mission Impossibles are always good. Again, sequels aren't necessarily bad. You can tell a fresh story in the same timeline, in the same universe. It's remaking the same thing. I don't need remakes. I've seen the first one. You're not going to beat the original. Just move on with it.
What is it that's keeping these original ideas from? Do you think there's a lack of imagination in, or are the? I wonder if it's a no one wants to risk bombing a movie at the box office. I think everything's so expensive now. Who wants to take the hit of a bad original idea when you can bank on a reboot and you're probably gonna make back your money at the box office because of nostalgia factor, and Gen Xers and whatever millennials are gonna pay to go see it just to say they saw it.
Oh, I mean, you're gonna have it's money drives it, is what it is.
It is.
Those movies do big numbers. There's nothing, no doubting that. Like the you can see the money they bring in. A lack of originality. I think there's original ideas, but studios see the dollars coming in on the cheap remakes rather than the original ideas, so they go that way rather than with the original ideas.
That's such a bummer.
It is. All right. Brian wants to know here now, what is your go-to celebration in the beer league? Ever think about pulling out the Solani?
Yeah, maybe one day I'll pull out the Solani, but it's got to be like, I don't know. I have to be having a hell of a night to pull out the Solani, because if it's just like, if I'm having a dog shit day and I pull out the Solani on just a shitty goal, I'm gonna get probably cross-checked in the teeth.
Yeah.
My little celly is, I don't even really do a celly, but I just do the little like point at whoever assisted, just the little the immediate like point over to them, like, woo. That was, I give all the credit to the guy who gives me the assist.
Oh,
because they probably worked harder than I did.
That's completely fair. I completely agree with that thinking. Always give credit to your centerman.
Yeah, it's like better to take the shine off of you and just give it right back to the person, and then we come together and give each other knucks, high five, little pat on the helmet, and skate back to. Usually, I just jump right off. I change. I'm like, it's not going to get better than that. Or every once in a while, if we're short people, I just go right back to the middle there and get ready for puck drop. It's actually funny. I tried to quarterback the other day, tried to break the puck out. I got one chance on that, stripped, -1 immediately.
Oh.
And then I tried to do it again, and one of my teammates, who I don't know really well yet, just took the puck from me and said, just go to the net. But yeah, my celly is just the little, like, you see it a lot, just a little point over to the guy who gave me the apple.
Hey, that's you got to credit those guys, man.
You do. Let's see here. Moving or before we move on, actually, Robbie, what would your Selly be if you scored a big goal, or if you scored a goal?
Oh man, probably just I'd probably be so shocked that I scored that. Um,
Just like grabbing your head, just like
yeah. Oh my god. Even if it was just like a tap in or something like that. I don't know, nothing fancy.
like
Probably.
the Macho Man. You just give him like the
Yeah, something like that.
go WWE with it.
Yeah. Do like that Red Wings guy did in Gritty across the.
Oh my god, the Gritty,
yeah.
who ended up getting traded.
Yeah, but I mean, you only get a chance to do that once sometimes, so
You
take
do.
advantage. Take advantage.
I like that. The Gritty's a popular one with the youngins these days too.
Yeah.
All right. Brian says here, chirping Garrett without having him rebuttal kind of takes the fun out of it, but I'm never going to stop. Do either of you know how Junior, aka Shin Splints, is doing since he's too busy for us?
So it has been a while since we talked to Mr. Garrett.
Have you talked to him at all this summer?
No, I don't think. I think the last time I talked to him at any length was when we were doing his farewell episode.
Really?
I don't think I talked. We might have texted. I don't remember. Honestly, don't. I know that his train stop opened back up.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to. So he could heal his shin splints. It's really funny though that the last thing that he left us with was his shin splints. That is kind of funny in a way. I won't lie, but. No, I mean, it has been a while since we talked to Garrett, and now that Brian says it, I mean, we definitely don't poke as much fun now as we did when he was still employed. That's for certain, because it definitely takes away a bit. Not him not being able to respond or whatever. So I guess we'll find out if Garrett listens to the podcast. With this little banter here, but no, I have not talked to Garrett. I don't know how his job is going. We should probably reach out to him at some point, just to see if he's still alive. He does tweet every once in a while, so I know he's at least the heart's still beating a little bit. So yeah, I mean, if Garrett's listening, did you text him?
No, I was just looking through my DMs. He responded to a DM of mine on July 22nd at 5:40 in the morning, which would have been
2:40 your time.
Yeah, so he said I said he posted a story and it said I remember it was something to the effect of being there's not much more to life than being like a Blink-182 fan or something like that. And I responded to his story with, what about being a fan of the Pittsburgh Penguins? And he responded saying, I am a Flyers fan and don't know you.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. I do remember that, actually, now that you say that. What a weirdo.
It would be hilarious if he actually donned the orange and black. He hates torts, though. He could never.
Nah, he couldn't do it. He's not sure. He's just trying to...
He's just trying to ruffle my feathers.
He's just trying to get a response. He probably misses us, so he's probably trying to get a response, and he probably misses the jabs and the ribbing. So he thought,
yeah,
bring
I
that
wonder.
Up and...
He's friends with Patrick Damp, right?
Yeah, he's friends with Patty Damp.
So I wonder. They're probably. What if he just joins their podcast?
That would be kind of funny and kind of like, what are you doing?
Yeah, for real. I did see he changed his profile picture, though. He was actually recently on a boat, it looks like. Are there lakes out there? Or is he on the river, you think?
Could be in the river. I mean, there are some like lakes around here that people have houses on and stuff. That's a possibility as well. But if I had to guess, it's probably on one of the rivers.
He's on a river with the life vest on, so...
No, he's not.
If you look at his Instagram profile...
Oh, I went to it. Never mind. I just checked his Twitter.
He's definitely having some fun this summer.
Man, if he's out there with a life vest on...
He is.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
He's got a body glove life vest on in case he goes overboard.
That looks like a river. Or that looks like a lake.
Because of the houses in the back. I was going to say, that looks like it could be somewhere in Washington.
I mean, you could have... like houses on the river here, so I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of. But that definitely looks like a lake.
We need to have him on. We need to just have like a little catch up with him, see how
Yeah, we
things
do.
have been. If he'll
It's been a
ever,
while.
if he'll ever respond to us again.
He's so busy now all the time.
Yeah, he is. He's really outgrown us.
All right. How geeked would you be if Kyle Dubas did pull the trigger and acquired Nate Robertson? Nate or Nick? I can never remember. Nick. I think the move would give that extra depth with a good mixture of veterans and youth.
Yeah, so I'd be extremely happy with that. I just would be curious at what the return would be, because this is the one thing I get hung up on with the fantasy of acquiring a shooter like Nick Robertson is he doesn't want to be a bottom 6 guy in Toronto. Yeah. I mean, we've got McGroarty. We don't know what we have in him yet, and he's young. And then we've got Bunting, who actually fits in really well with Evgeny Malkin. And we love the Penguins were so successful after acquiring Bunting and the role that he played and his net front presence and all that grit and tenacity he brings. Would you acquire Nick Robertson just to be like, you're going to be a third line winger for us, a scoring third line winger, where he was unhappy with that opportunity in Toronto? Or do you give, who's coming out of the top 6 to give him this chance? You know what I mean? I think that's a fair, skeptic's view of what do you do with a guy like Nick Robertson.
Ricard Raquel, it's time to learn French-Canadian, buddy.
Oh, I like that. I would totally sub out Ricard Raquel for a Nick Robertson. It's time to learn French-Canadian. It's time to get harassed by Toronto media and all those guys up there because you, sir, are a Toronto Maple Leaf.
Time to learn Ricard Raquel.
I guess he's only played in He's only played in the States. He's never played in Canada. So get ready to learn. I love those comments. Get ready to learn Russian, buddy. You ever see those?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I was going for. He wasn't gonna get shipped to Russia or anything. I'll probably ship him to somewhere, unless they ship him back. He's still too good to play in Sweden or anything like that. So
he'd be the best player in any other league. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be excited to acquire Nick Robertson because I honestly think that dude he could help the Penguins power play. He's just got a wicked shot. He's got a NHL caliber shot. He just hasn't. I mean, Toronto, they need bottoms. They're kind of like the Penguins. They've just needed bottom 6 guys. They don't really have a ton of room for him. And they've been in such a win now mode since giving everyone those contracts and stuff. They don't really have the patience to develop a guy like Nick Robertson. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with him, if anything, but he doesn't hold a ton of leverage, but I'd be excited. What about you, Robbie? Where are you at with if they acquired Robertson, would there be any skepticism involved in that? Or would you be pretty, as Brian said, geeked?
I would be pretty jazzed if they got Robin, just because I think he feels, and again, it's not just for this year either. It's for the future as well. I mean, Nick Robertson's not old. He wouldn't add to your aging core. He'd be a part of the future core, hopefully.
I like that he's an American. This stuff never used to matter to me when I was younger, but now that I'm older, I'm like, get an American. I like McGroarty because I'm like, good old American boy playing in Pittsburgh. Nick Robertson, American kid. Get him out of that Canadian hellhole market, Toronto. Bring him to a chill place, a sports town, but a much more chill environment than Toronto, and just watch him flourish. We all saw what happened to Phil Kessel. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Bring the good old American boy back from Toronto and let him play in a town where they embrace an athlete of his physique and his tastes in life. He likes fishing. He likes drinking beer. He likes football. And they just embrace the hell out of Phil, and he wins 2 cups.
Absolutely. Agreed.
All right. Brian's asks here, taking hometown bias out, would Mike Lang be on the Mount Rushmore of announcers in the NHL?
So this is kind of hard because there's so many good announcers if you really think about it. Obviously, I'm going to say yes, but again, I can't really take the hometown bias out of it. He is literally the voice of hockey for me growing up. So I can't, it's really hard to take the hometown bias out. I think if we're starting anywhere, if we're going for hockey announcers, I think Bob Cole's probably your gold standard from Canada. Even if you weren't from Canada, you've definitely heard Bob Cole call hockey games. Doc Emmerich has to be on there, I think, as well. And Snail, you remember Gary Thorne calling games for ESPN?
Oh yeah,
Gary Thorne. I was hoping so badly that they brought him back when they got the rights again, because Gary Thorne, there's just something about the way he calls a game, and I didn't really fully appreciate him until he called Baltimore Orioles games for a long time. Then after he was off the NHL. Recently, if you paid attention to any of the highlights that were posted surrounding the death of Johnny Gaudreau, he called Johnny Gaudreau's basically championship stealer in 2012 in the national championship game. That was him. The one of his best is Game 7 between the Lightning and Flames in 2004. Fedotenko scored to make it 2-0, and he just lets loose this unbelievable Fedotenko call. Really ridiculous. He has so many good calls. It's really unfortunate that he never got back into at least NHL hockey full time after the lockout. He did do like some spot stuff here and there. I think a couple years ago he did like 5 or 6 LA Kings games or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is. But he's just a terrific announcer in any sport that he does. So if he is on the call, I'm probably going to listen to it, because I think he'd call paint drying and make it exciting, make it exciting. What else? Who else? There's so many. Jim Houston, who replaced Bob Cole, he was the Canucks announcer, everyday announcer, but he was extremely good on. He did the Canadian national games too. For Sportsnet or CBC, your Hockey Night in Canada games, was excellent on those. The guy in the duo in Dallas is really good. Can't think of their names off the top of my head, but for me, I mean, Mike Lang's gonna be on there just because I can't not be a homer in this situation. I think Josh Getzoff is very good.
Really?
I think Getzoff's
completely. Or wait, who's no, you're right. Getzoff is good. Mears was one that I thought I missed a little. I think there was something missing there for me.
Yeah.
Who I think went to Columbus.
Yeah. So yeah, he definitely.
What about the New York Rangers announcer who's retiring after this year? I think is Sam Rosen.
Yeah, Sam Rosen's been around.
Dude, he's a great announcer too.
Yeah.
He did a great job. He made every player that his just accent, like the way he talked, he could make anyone sound like a Ranger. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they could acquire someone new, and when he said their name, I was like, nope, he's a Ranger. That guy's meant to be a New York Ranger. Just the way he would say people's names. Hearing him say, like, Zuccarello and Kevin Hayes.
New York guy.
I thought
they all have that.
I don't know if he's a Mount Rushmore, but he was, and also, I don't know if he's Mount Rushmore when he retires, to the argument of Mike Lang. I'll get to Mike Lang in a second, but Sam Rosen, I think, is a phenomenal announcer. The thing, when I was growing up, and when I started watching Penguins games, when I started actually buying the center ice pack, I used to get my parents to buy it so I could watch out of market games.
I used to get center ice too, and it was great when it worked.
So I will say this: this is not hometown bias. There was something about Mike Lang. He reminded me of Dave Niehaus, famous baseball announcer for the Seattle Mariners, one of the best announcers, I think, of all time. He had that Dave Niehaus quality to me. I loved listening. So Mike Lang was, I know that he didn't always do TV, right? He was radio as well.
So I have to try to remember the progression here. He was TV most of my growing up. He didn't really switch out of television until, I believe, Crosby's second or third season. I know he was on TV for at least his rookie season.
Okay.
I can't remember if it was the second or third season where he transitioned to radio, but pretty much my entire growing up watching hockey on television, Mike Lang was the television voice of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Okay, so there would be times later on, right before he retired, I would literally have my headphones in listening to the radio call while I'm watching the TV muted. Like, that is that is how good he was. And for somebody that, when I first was watching hockey across the country and in Canada, getting those center ice packages, or using my phone to stream games while I'm at work. That was how I probably really started listening to Mike Lang, was when I'd be painting at work. I'd work till maybe 4:30 or 5. I would plug in the Penguins games on the NHL app to listen to, and Mike Lang would be making the call. A phenomenal announcer. I think he's up there with like Doc Emmerich and Gary Thorne, just with his charisma and his weird. It's like Dave Niehaus from the Mariners, like the slap me silly Sydney, and he's smiling like a butcher's dog, and all those little I don't know what you call those little phrases he had gave him so much character and separated him so much from other announcers.
I'm trying to think. There's
who else is good is the crack. He used to be the Carolina Hurricanes. John Forsland.
John Forsland. I was trying to think. I heard that. So I don't see many Kraken games, but I hear that him and JT Brown are absolutely money together.
No, when it's him, Eddie Olczyk, and JT Brown, those guys are
so
like
weird that Eddie's out there now.
It's because his son is the Seattle, like he's like a sports, like he's the Kraken's not play-by-play, but he breaks down each period after when they go to break after a period. He's an analyst. Thank you.
What's his name? Tommy?
God. Is it because I know he's got a few sons and I don't want to get it wrong. I just know that if you look up Seattle Kraken and then you type in Olczyk, there's a couple. Nick Olczyk.
Okay, because Tommy played for Penn State hockey.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he played for Penn State.
That's cool.
Yeah, and Eddie would come up every once in a while and watch games, because especially when he was in like Pittsburgh or New York, he could get there pretty easily, or Philadelphia.
Totally.
But Nick. Okay, Nick is the there's another her name's Allison. She does some Kraken stuff too. She used to write for The Athletic. She's very good as well. The Kraken, I know that the results on the ice might not have been everything they've hoped for, but they definitely have made a quality product for fans tuning in, maybe to learn hockey for the first time, or
definitely
learn how to understand the game, from the basics to the more complicated. They definitely hit that home run there, because Forsland would not have been a cheap hire coming from Carolina.
Well, he wasn't a cheap hire, but also the Carolina, who's their owner?
Tom Dundon.
Tom Dundon didn't want to pay him.
Well, that's been a recurring theme with.
He doesn't want to pay the people that really make his organization.
That's why Don Waddell
went to Columbus.
Walked, yeah.
So he didn't want
walked. That's why.
That's a good point. That's what they've missed out on, a lot of guys, a lot of important people within their organization, because that dude's just he's got alligator arms sometimes. So
I'm trying to think who else.
But when I heard that he didn't want to pay Johnny Forsland, he offered him some like ridiculous contract, and Seattle was like, dude, we will. I mean, Johnny Forsland is going to be one of those guys in conversations as far as a great announcer.
You'd think.
His calls are just amazing. And when he's teamed up with, like you said, Olczyk and JT Brown, even if you're not a hockey fan, I'm sure watching those games, they make the game so much more watchable, because they have such good chemistry. You can tell they talk about hanging out after the games, and like they all carpool together and stuff out here in Seattle. So it's kind of funny to hear them banter about going to get ice cream.
I will say, if you have that kind of situation where, say you're tuning into a game and you have no interest in hockey, and it doesn't you don't have to be from Seattle. Say you're turning in on ESPN Plus or something. You have no interest in hockey, and you turn in and listen to a game, and you're learning that much during the game, all of a sudden you can become a hockey fan.
Oh yeah, it's like
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like the NBA TNT guys that are gone now, with like Chuck and Shaq. Yeah, you know how many people probably don't care about basketball, but they watch those guys?
That makes so. I didn't grow up in an NBA team in Pittsburgh, and we didn't really have any. And I was basically a Jordan fan growing up, so basically I watched the Bulls, and that was about it. And I kind of, once he retired, I kind of got away from basketball. But now I pay more attention to the NBA, just simply watching clips of those guys banter back and forth.
They're hilarious.
They are. It's great content, and that's what more more sports need to do to bring in fans. So it's great.
Are you a fan of the NHL on TNT cast that has like Wayne Gretzky, Hank Lundqvist?
I think it could have been a disaster, but I think what Liam McHugh makes that entire show. I think
McHugh's great.
McHugh is a top. He's one of the best in the business right now. Liam McHugh, Bissonnette, I think tries to play the Shaq Barkley role.
Dude, he tries to be just like in the NHL. He tries to be the goon.
I think Lundqvist is absolutely fantastic.
Dude, his goalie insights are amazing.
I think if you're gonna do a hockey show, you should be required to have a goaltender on the team. Basically,
who isn't Brian Boucher?
No, yeah, because goalies are so weird. Like, and Gretzky, I'm more pleasantly surprised with than I thought. Because, like, sometimes those guys, the all-time greats, can't really explain the game because it comes too easy to them. But he has a way of kind of simplifying it to the point where, okay, yeah, the game was basically child's play to him, but he explains it in a like he kind of makes it seem like, okay, he actually did have to try. Like, it wasn't all a walk in the park. The ESPN crew is atrocious.
With Messier and
PK, it just doesn't work. I'm sorry.
It doesn't.
They tried it. It doesn't work. Anson Carter on TNT is phenomenal. Kevin Weeks, he's not being a goober. I'm sure you see his tweets where he takes like a selfie and it's like half his face.
The breaking news, like where in the world is Weeksy?
So I'm still with Pennsburg. I had a chance to cover the 2017 outdoor game at Heinz Field between the Flyers and Penguins, and I actually got to interview Kevin Weeks before the game. Dude, unbelievable dude. Would answer, and he's a hockey nerd, so he would have sat there and talked hockey all day, and then a goalie on top of it. And then being a person of color and being in that kind of situation, and being a person of color before it was even really talked about in hockey.
He handled it with grace. Like he's handled everything with grace, like his whole career. I feel like he's just seems like a great dude.
And he's played for like 20 different teams. So you ask him about a city, he can probably give you some recommendations or something.
Dude, he also seems like a guy's guy too. Like he's probably one of those dudes that's just down to get beers. Like he's probably like he loves his food. Like he doesn't seem like some stuck up dude. He's awesome. So
no, he's chill as hell. If you ever get a chance to talk to him, he would sit there and talk to you for.
That's pretty cool. You got to interview him.
Him and Brian Rupp.
Rupper's cool too.
Brian Rupp, Mike Rupp.
Mike Rupp. Mike Rupp, he's been doing some Penguins games this last year too, and I don't mind him on the kind of cut from a similar cloth of the old 2-9er.
I like him better in the studio than the booth. I think you got to get Colby Armstrong in the booth as much as possible.
Down between the benches.
Between the ice, whatever. I think he's better suited for that role. Rupp, I like more from in the studio at the desk breaking down plays kind of thing. Just my personal.
I like a guy like Rupper because he kind of speaks my language, where he always just says like he's always advocating for a little more grit in the lineup, and like why aren't people like punching someone in the head a little bit more when they're doing this to so and so or whatever. I always appreciate those guys that in this day and age will put their chest out and be like, no, there is a place for physicality in hockey. I'm excited for this season, man. I cannot wait to watch some freaking hockey again.
We're getting
1 month.
Literally a month today. Actually, I should say that it is a month today.
I think the Penguins have I think the first NHL preseason game is the 22nd between Toronto and Ottawa.
Right. Oh, I thought you meant the Penguins first preseason.
No. Just the first one is the 22nd between Toronto and Ottawa.
Get a hate watch going on there.
Oh yeah, but it will be so starved. I'll watch it.
Yeah, Penguins are the 21st actually. So
what? So that's I got that from the 32 Thoughts podcast.
Maybe they meant first Canadian or first one that's going to
be maybe the first one to them that matters is that one. I don't know. That's weird because he's like the first exhibition game will be the 22nd between Toronto. That's crazy.
Yeah, the Penguins play on the 21st in Buffalo, so that's the first one on the Penguins schedule. I don't know about. Maybe it's the first one that's going to be on Sportsnet to watch.
Oh, maybe that's what it is because that they are Sportsnet sanctioned.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Well, either way, we're getting there. Like we're gonna be there before you know it. It's already the 9th. Like September's already ticking by.
Yeah, and I'm gone all of next week, so it's gonna be.
We're gonna blink and it's gonna be.
It's gonna be here. 30 days. Yep.
Let's go.
All right, let's wrap up this mailbag. Brian, once again, he said, if you could be friends with any fictional character, who would you choose? I think I might choose Nikki from Little Nicky if I want chaos in my life, but I think my answer would be a Vinny Chase and be a part of his quote-unquote entourage. That's such a bad show.
I never watched Entourage. I just remember they marketed the hell out of it to our generation, and I could never commit to it.
There's moments, and like early on it's okay, but man, it really just devolves into a mess after a couple seasons.
So from someone who's never watched it, is it just a show about like is it essentially like
rich dudes being dudes in
I was gonna say is it
something like that?
Is it kind of like a more practical like TV show, a more practical version of like The Hangover or something?
Yeah, it's a little more. It's definitely bro-y.
It's bro-y.
Yeah, it's definitely like obviously The Hangover has an absurd premise. I'd rather watch The Hangover, but Entourage is definitely more of a this could happen kind of show.
Interesting. I'm not a big. I've never watched it. I've never been enticed by it. Lil Nicky's an interesting option because he is the devil's son, and his mother's an angel, so he's got all these cool superpowers. I loved that movie. If I could pick a fictional character, that is such a wild world.
I'd probably just pick like Snoopy.
Snoopy would be just an awesome guy to chill with.
I mean, people annoy me after a while, so like, imagine Snoopy. Like, I mean, Snoopy be chill. Charlie Brown be boring.
Charlie Brown's too boring. You know who actually seems like they'd be a great pal would be Arnold from Hey Arnold.
Oh, we had a discussion a couple weeks ago, right?
We talked about Hey Arnold being a great show, but Arnold himself.
That or any of the Rocket Power.
Squid, Otto, Twister, Reggie. Yeah. But dude, like Hey Arnold, like with his little that room, like one. That he and the place he lives and just him as a person, he seems just like a great guy.
Yeah, Hey Arnold, that room was like my dream room.
Oh, everyone's.
Yeah, I think because again, you had like the skylight, you could go on the roof. It was a private room. You had to go up like a ladder to get into it.
Yeah.
That one. That's a good one. Hey Arnold or Arnold. Would have been a really good one. Him and Gerald.
Gerald. I'd fit in great with those guys. I feel like we just like are cut from a similar cloth, anyways.
Yeah.
You know who else? I'm just because he's one of my favorite guys ever is Homer Simpson. I mean, he might be he's a horrible friend probably.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
I would love to go to Moe's and get beers with Homer and just like shoot the shit with him.
Yeah, if that's all you had to interact with him, that would probably be okay. Like if you ever counted on him for anything, you would.
No, they'd have an episode about how he fucked your life up.
Yeah.
What about you? Who's a fictional character you'd be friends with?
Fictional character that I'd be friends with. I'm gonna go back to MASH. Hawkeye, from MASH.
Really, is he just a solid dude?
Yeah, he's just funny, solid. Like he was like the opposite of Homer Simpson. Could count on him in any situation.
Oh yeah, this guy. Captain Benjamin Franklin Pierce.
Yes.
Played by Donnie Sutherland.
Well, that's in the movie. He played by Alan Alda in the show.
Oh, okay. I looked at the wrong thing on here. That looks like the show.
Man. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Snoopy. I mean, what's wrong with hanging out with the dog? Nobody's ever been complaining about hanging out with the dog.
They're way better than people.
Arnold was a really good one. I wish I would have thought of that one because he likes sports. He just hung out with his friends. No responsibilities.
He also seemed like he knew when to like call it quits too. Like he's not going to cling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or he's not going to probably hit you up if he's in like a really shitty situation and bring you into it. Yeah. He's just mature. He'd probably be like, but yeah, you could like talk to him about tough things. You could celebrate with him. He's down for a little the right amount of mischief, and he just had an awesome house. And dude, just a great. He just seems like a great time.
Absolutely agreed. All right, that puts a bow on this episode of the Mailbag. Soon we will have more hockey to discuss. We are getting ever closer with each passing day. So once we get into hockey season, hopefully we can cut it down to one mailbag a week, and we can focus more on some news and highlights and games and all that fun stuff. And hopefully here in the next week or so, we have a Sidney Crosby contract to talk about. So, Snell, any last words before we put a bow on this one?
No, I just opened up my phone, and the first thing I see is a Sidney Crosby quote, the one we talked about at the beginning, that he's pretty optimistic the contract extension will get done before the start of the season. He doesn't know what day specifically, but the fact that he's saying this leads me to think that the doubt just becomes a little less.
Yeah, and they are at the media tour right now, so hopefully here in the next week or two we get some more positive news on this. But
wait, dude, I got one more thing we got to talk about before we close it out, and then we can hop off here. We had week 1 of NFL. It'll be completed by the time this comes out. I think the 49ers play tonight. Yep. I heard Russell Wilson's hurt already.
He did not play yesterday, no.
He did not play. So how did the Steelers do?
They won.
Nice.
18-10 on 6 field goals.
What?
They did not score a touchdown. They did force 3 turnovers and didn't turn the ball over once. So defensively, they looked outstanding. Defensively, they were completely played one of the best games I've seen them play in a long time. Only gave up, I think, 56 yards in the second half. So a dominating performance. Their punter blew out his knee.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he got ran into, and his knee buckled, and I believe...
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So, fun times in Pittsburgh. But I will take 1-0, and I am fine with that. I saw the Seattle Seahawks.
Did you watch the game?
I did not have it on in my area. I could only watch the highlights.
Okay.
So,
are you a red zone guy?
I wasn't yesterday. I was at a friend's house that doesn't have red zone.
But when you're at home, you do red zone?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way to watch games.
And I will say that Seattle wore their good uniforms yesterday.
Yeah, they're throwbacks.
The ones they should wear all the time. But
agreed, man.
Yes, but no, big win there for the Seattle Seahawks as well.
Yeah, it didn't look good in the beginning. I thought it was going to be one of those games where they can just kind of put it on cruise control by maybe the second half, and with the rookie QB in Denver and everything. But no, it turned out to be a nail biter, like every Seahawks game. And from what I remember in the past, the Seahawks, they have this horrible habit of when they're on offense, they gain yardage, and there's always a flag that brings them back. A little bit of that going on. Gino was throwing some questionable picks. I think they had a pick within the first 15 seconds of the game.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
So that was concerning to see. But then Mike McDonald and his defensive masterclass in the second half ended up being great. They really buckled. They buttoned it down defensively, and we got this running back. I believe his name is Walker the third.
Kenneth Walker. Yeah,
Kenneth Walker the third. Yeah. That dude, they need to give the ball to him more. He's looking like a mini Marshawn Lynch out there, and just as a Seahawks fan, I'm loving it. Give him the ball more. I think they have 3 running backs, so I'd like to see them whittle that down a bit and just give him the ball more. So optimistic as I'm announcing it. I'm a Seahawks fan right now, and
right. I don't blame you.
Well, we're not a football podcast, but we got to talk a little football. It's to celebrate the beginning of the season and all that.
Yeah, and soon we're gonna have plenty of hockey talk about, so we might as well get the football talk in
totally
while we still can. But
I think Brian's a Buccaneers fan.
I do think I remember him saying that, which is certainly a interesting decision from being from Western Pennsylvania. But hey, all the power to him.
All the power to him. But that's all I got, Robbie. We can close this out.
Alrighty. So for Snail, I'm Robbie. We will be back with another mailbag later in the week. If you are listening to this, we don't really have enough questions right now to cover that episode. So head over to our Twitter and throw the questions in there. If not, we will find some topics to talk about, maybe preview get some previews going and stuff like that. But for Snail, I'm Robbie. We will talk to you guys later this week.